Are you a single parent and an empty nester? Did you find yourself becoming a single parent one day through no desire of your own, either by loss of a partner via death or divorce or abandonment? And there you were with your children, precious babies that you loved with all your heart. And you decide you are going to be fierce. You are going to put everything in. You are going to work 2 or 3 jobs. You're going to give the kids what they need. And you are going to take all that energy and pour it into them. 150%, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Because you want those kids to have a good life. You love them with all your heart, and you put every single inch of yourself into loving them and raising them. And then one day they grow up and they move on, as they should, as you raise them to be independent, functioning adults. And what happens? You find yourself home, waiting for the phone to ring, hoping somebody's going to reach out to you, validate you, give you something to do, and be useful. And loneliness, desperation and despair set in, leading to depression and other things that just aren't okay. This is a problem adults over 50 are facing in our country, in this area, where the multi-generational model and taking care of your elders is not culturally appropriate or trending. If you can relate to this, I hope you stick with me today. My name's Dawn, D-A-W-N, like the morning, the recovery lady. I'm a behavioral health clinician and a recovering empty nester. And today I'm going to talk about single parent empty nester. There's a whole psychology for single parents when they're married, and a lot of overlap with single parent empty nesters. But today we're going to focus on the single parent and for a few episode empty nesters. When you found yourself, when I found myself, when we find ourselves becoming single parents, we are not only losing our identity, we're losing our identity first as a partner, a wife, a husband, a spouse, having that other person, a team player, and there is a void, there is a loneliness, there is a loss. And as really good parents, we take all that and we put it all into our kids. And sometimes we can become enmeshed, because as much as we're giving them, we're also subconsciously oftentimes looking for some needs to be met we got from our partner that aren't there anymore. And enmeshment can take place. And if that happened to you, if you gave every ounce you had as a single parent to raising your children, and then they leave home as they are supposed to, as we raise them to be strong, individual, independent, healthy humans, and you find yourself sitting at home waiting for the phone to ring for years, hoping they're going to stop by. You don't want to miss their call. Maybe they'll come by and the world's happening and you don't know what to do. This video is for you. And in my single parent empty nesting recovery, this is exactly where I am too. And guess what? We're stronger together when we go through this together. Oftentimes as single parents, we put so much into our kids, we can go into martyrdom. Like, oh, look what I did. I sacrificed everything for them, and now they're gone. They left the home, and I'm sitting here alone. Don't they see what they did for me? Watch my video on travel agent of guilt trips. It's not somebody we want to be. You may have done everything right as far as being a fierce parent, single parent, and raising your kids. But if you're sitting where what I've been struggling with for a while and I'm trying to come out of, and you're sitting home saying, who loves me? What's my purpose? What is this void? There's a step that we missed as those fierce, strong, overly loving single parents, and that was the part of separation. The things that we taught them to do, we taught them to do to go have a life. And if we're still expecting to do those and trying to practice our expired parenting roles, we're going to be sitting home and spiraling out. I think of it like this. Say you work in a factory and you're the foreman of the factory and you have the book, the manual of a factory running, okay? And you're the ace. Nobody runs that factory. Those cars are going down the assembly line, those parts, and you are the master. You win awards. You are recognized to be the best foreman that factory's ever seen. Life changes. Company goes out of business. For whatever reason, the factory closes. And that's been where you worked for 20 years. And you're walking around with your manual on how to run the factory, and you're showing up every day at the door saying, I'm here with my manual, let's run the factory, and it's empty. And you're showing up and you're banging on the door and you're sitting out there all day long like the only thing I've done my whole 20, 30 years, my whole adult life is run this factory. And I don't know what to do when I get up every single day because I've done this for so long that not only do I not have my purpose, I don't know how to function outside running the factory. Does that make sense? Because when we have, in any area of our life, not had balance, we put everything into raising our kids. I did this. I remember somebody telling me when my kids were little, hey, you're just a bang-up mom, man. You're killing it. You're doing all the things, but when do you carve out time for you? And I'm like, oh, no. I'm about breaking generational sin and bondage, and I'm going to do that with my kids. I'm going to pour everything into it. And I had a deficit. Maybe I did 75% right, but I had the deficit of not building a life for myself, an individual life. Like if I were the foreman at the factory, and I was showing up every day for 30, 20 years and not doing anything else, not bowling, not skydiving, not developing hobbies on the side or having anything outside of that job. And that job was my identity. And now I'm like a fool standing there trying to run something that doesn't exist anymore. I believe God gave me that analogy today when I was preparing. That's what happens when we're single parent empty nesters, because we're not even standing outside that factory alone with our co-foreman saying, hey, let's talk about this. This is hard. What are we going to do with all our knowledge? We have this skill set. Let's see if we can go do something else together or focus on each other. As a single parent empty nester, we're standing outside the factory spinning in our head, because all we know what to do with our lives is in this book of running the factory, of being a parent, a good parent, a good factory foreman. So what happens when we're standing there is our wheels are spinning, our wheels are spinning, our kids are gone, they don't need us. We're looking for them to fill that void and regress into needing the active parenting that they got from us when they were incapable of doing things for themselves. And our role has expired, and that leads to loneliness, it leads to desperation, and it leads to despair. And we can stand out there in the factory door or sit in our place of residence waiting for the phone to ring, waiting for somebody to open that factory door, and before you know it, our life is over. We wither away. We're self-medicating. We're jumping into relationships we shouldn't. This is going to be a series. This is the problem. As a behavioral health clinician, I'm about problem and solution. Meet you where you're at, move you forward. That's counseling. Coaching is a little bit different. That's what counseling is. We meet you where you're at, specific problem, move you forward. I have a whole video on this. Therapy, we're going time tunneling into past things and working through those issues. If you are that person, if you are that parent at the empty factory looking for something to do, and your role has expired, you're in a crisis, and we need to find a way to get out of it. And the first thing to do is to start connecting with other people, start watching these videos, leaving comments before. I'm a small channel. And, you know, common hurts make common bonds. The things we have in common, we can get better together. So I want to encourage you to watch this. We've identified the problem. We're in a crisis. Single parent empty nesters, we are in a crisis of identity. Who are we? And what do we do moving forward? Because if we keep doing the same thing over and over, and that ship has sailed, that factory door, that factory's closed, there's your definition of insanity, you know, the old saying, doing the same thing over and over, expecting the result to be different. So today's going to be the first day. And together we're going to step out of the insanity, of the crisis, of the single parent empty nesting, and we're going to move into solution. And it is not too late. If you wake up every morning and you are living and breathing on this planet, you can turn it around. I don't care if you're sitting here 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and you've been sitting home alone for 30 years. It is not too late for you. You woke up and you have a breath, and there is somebody out there who needs you. God has got your back, and we got to get our identity from him first. And we're going to find together and learn ways to come out of that and to heal. And there's hope and there's healing. I want you to just sit in it and realize you are okay. You've been maybe knocking at the empty factory door for a while and your heart's broken, but we're going to start filling that up together. First thing to do for homework this week, because we're going to come back to this next week and we're going to do as many episodes as necessary till we start this journey together, is to do one nice, excuse the glitch, my phone overheated. I'm a clinician, not a technician, knowing how to do all the electronics, but I do want to tell you your homework for this week. I encourage you to do one good thing for you, one nice thing for you. Spend 20 minutes, 10 minutes just writing down, journaling. Think when you were 17, 18, about to embark on your adult life. What were you looking forward to? What was it? What excited you? Take a breath. Walk away from the factory door this week, and let's start to change our thinking together. If you haven't subscribed, liked, or shared, please subscribe. I have been doing this for, 9 months, and I'm just so trying to get up to 200 subscribers. I'm not the genius of, knowing how to make things populate on YouTube, but my heart is so in my content. Love you guys. Have a blessed day. More next week. I'm Dawn, the Recovery Lady.